We're going around in circles just because you.
Yeah, we're going around in circles because narcissists don't have enough empathy to ever listen to people like me.
She's hardly spoken.
Fine, speak more then. Speak more. You want her to speak more, tell her to speak more.
Would you like to speak more?
This is the UK's most censorious campus, where speaking your mind costs you your job and even your freedom.
They try and take your livelihood away. They try and shame you publicly. I think what's going to happen now is they're going to lock you up.
You can think that I'm hateful, and lots of people do, and that's absolutely fine. I'm not going to change your mind on that.
And a wrong word can turn the students against you.
Should Connie Shaw be expelled?
I would love to see that personally, but that's only because of my anger.
My old university, Leeds, caused a stir when its debating society refused to allow therapist James Esses to debate gender ideology, claiming that even to hold the debate would be to undermine marginalised groups' sovereignty. An interesting word suggesting minorities should hold supreme power or authority. Anti-Semitism is rife, and Palestine flags and marches have taken over the campus, even occupying a building. The Jewish Society has been scared into silence, its buildings defaced, and its rabbi accused of genocide, threatened with death, and forced into hiding. This is in line with what many see as draconian censorship across British campuses, and it's only getting worse.
Can't live their life as they want to live because you've decided they can't.
And it's all come to a head at Leeds, where student Connie Shaw has made national headlines after being fired from the Leeds Student Radio because she doesn't believe trans people can change sex. She also interviewed controversial Father Ted and IT Crowd writer Graham Linehan about gender and criticised the campus for paying for controversial binders that squash women's breasts. I was hoping to get on the radio's Politics Hour to ask them what made them fire Connie. But are students more concerned with protecting vulnerable minorities?
Maybe don't go to GB News and sort of spread this opinion.
Or are they pushing back against oppressive censorship?
University is supposed to be a place where you get your ideas challenged.
I was back at Leeds Uni to find out on the ground what some of the students really think about censorship on campus.
Where is the line with free speech? What shouldn't be said?
Anything that is hateful, anything that brings people down, anything that endangers people.
Well, I think the case of Connie Shaw recently, for example, is a clear-cut case of someone who's saying something which, to most people outside of a university campus, is not controversial, but which here seems to be, and for that reason she was cancelled. Why
I don't think free speech should be basically a free-for-all to spread what you want is because it damages people. That's where you need to draw the line.
Yes. Yeah. Are words violence?
Yes, definitely, absolutely.
Words can lead to violence.
No, I mean, unless you're literally inciting, saying go kill someone.
What's worse, punching someone or misgendering them?
I don't think you can really answer that.
I get quite bad mouth ulcers, so if I got punched in the face, I'd get weeks of... So for me, that's the context.
Yeah, you would rather someone misgender you than punch you, and that's based on your own lived experience.
Should Connie Shaw have been kicked out of Leeds Student Radio?
I'd agree with that decision, but they only have a lot of queer members, they have some trans members, and ultimately, Connie's speech was making them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. Because she's spreading hateful ideologies.
She was sort of saying how she's been quite quickly been removed from LSR, the student radio, but she doesn't really make it clear why, and I don't think she knows why either. I think there was a reason, but we don't know it.
What I hate is that she's just pulled things that back up her horrible point of view. She does just kind of go, well, trans women are not women, and she just sticks to that biological thing.
Are trans women women?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm of the understanding you can't biologically change.
Well, you can because we've done it, and I think if it wasn't possible, we wouldn't be able to do it to the human body.
Why would I say you're not a man or you're a man? I'm no one to tell you who you are.
If there was a man going into a woman's changing room...
I'm not the type of person to care, frankly.
There's a point where you can just be being mean to people, do you know what I mean? And it's...
Shouldn't you be allowed to be mean to people? Legally?
You're allowed to be critical, I feel,
But not mean. Is there a culture of censorship that you can't say what you think in the campus?
I think that's absolutely right. There are lots of students who feel like they have to adhere to a certain point of view.
I don't think there has been a censorship sort of culture.
Who said that?
You can say a lot of stuff and kind of get away with it, to be honest with you. You'd be surprised.
I think it's not okay.
To be racist?
Yeah, there are things you cannot say.
Maybe don't go to GB News and sort of spread this opinion. It just seems quite abrasive as a student to have such loud views on this.
Isn't that what being a student's about, though?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think testing your, really going maybe outside your comfort zone, testing what your critical views are. But
I think there's certain taboos in conversation which you just shouldn't do.
Yeah.
You just need to chill out, I think, yeah.
I went into a shop once and a white guy asked if he was describing what colour lighter he wanted, and someone else said, oh, you can't say black.
Shut up.
Yeah, literally. That's how fragile and afraid people are just to mention things, especially if you're white.
Is it possible there are actually more people who want more free speech?
I think that's absolutely right, particularly amongst young men.
It's kind of like a Marxist undertone or invasion.
Like the body snatchers, they've all been taken over, I suppose. Is there a pushback among young people?
I think it's kind of the pendulum switch is going the other way.
A lot of young people voting for Farage.
Yeah, I voted for reform as well.
Should Connie Shaw be expelled?
I mean, I would love to see that personally, but that's only because of my anger.
You were saying before that you just want everybody else to think the things that you think, and that's the only way it should be, and that's the best way it should be. And some would say that that's narcissistic in the same way that you would accuse Connie of being so, and the same way that I am about my own views. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying, and I so resent what you've just said. No, because look at what my views are compared to Connie's. Connie's views, I hate people that feel an inherent biological thing. My views are we should all love each other and get along so we can actually enjoy our life on this planet.
Did Connie say she hates those people?
Don't quote me specifically. You would really like to address personally, I mean, but...
And that's when the woman of the hour, Connie Shaw, turned up.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, look, that's nice. You were just saying you can understand why people would be violent to Connie. What did you mean by that?
I meant that your views are so hateful and so damaging that the anger that is produced from that. There was a case done in 1995 on the brain, and they looked at male to female transitioners and saw that inherently their brain was a female brain. My brief search showed this. Yeah. So if only a brief little thing can show all this, then imagine
if you'd looked further into it. Exactly. Do you believe in women's brains?
No, that experiment that you're talking about has been widely disputed, and even if there is such thing as a female brain, the fact that it's in a male body doesn't therefore make that person female. So I'd be interested to know what your definition of female is, because my definition of female is a body which is on the biological pathway towards producing gametes.
You've basically decided this because you just decide that it is. And also, you have no empathy, so therefore you have no empathy to apply to the situation.
Why do you say she has no empathy?
You don't understand it, so you have deemed it not a thing. But it is a thing because there are millions of people that are trans, and I resent you for deciding, and as many people have, I am not trans, so therefore no one can be trans. Who are you to say that? You've denied the brain thing, so you're saying someone with a female brain trapped in a male body can't live their life as they want to live because you've decided they can't.
What do you think about the female brains trapped in the male bodies?
I believe in biological reality and material facts. I don't believe in a concept of a soul in any way, whether it's a spiritual one to do with religion or if it's to do with having a gendered soul. So I'm not denying that trans person exists. I'm just saying I don't believe your own beliefs about yourself.
Do you think maybe 50 years ago, if Connie had said what she just said about Christianity, that she might have faced the same kind of vitriol from students saying, you're saying we don't exist, you're saying our thing isn't right?
Probably, yeah. I don't understand how that point links to our argument, though.
But the suggestion that she is making, I believe, is that is it fair to say it's a modern incarnation of a religious belief? And this is a religious belief you hold?
Maybe my views are fueled by my spirituality, and I'm trying to separate that because I do want to come at it from a more scientific.
At last, it looked like we'd reached an understanding. It didn't last long.
Now that Connie's explained her rationale, do you regret suggesting she has no empathy? Could it be that she has empathy for different causes?
No, I very much believe that you have no empathy, especially...
Psychopath.
I wouldn't say psychopath, but I would say narcissist. See, you love it. You love this negative attention. You even said it, that it fuels, and that is narcissism.
Are you a narcissist?
I haven't been diagnosed officially, but maybe.
Okay.
I used to believe the same as you.
This is what actually backs up my claim about your narcissism, is the fact that because your lack of empathy, you couldn't connect with it enough, and then you connected way more with the hate. And these kind of people, the ones that connect with the hate more, they're running the world. This is why this world is horrible. This is why everyone is so mentally ill. 1984 can be used to back up why you shouldn't all have the same view, because, sorry, there's so much that I could say.
I think you make some good points about it being,
tangent.
no, but you're right, about it being Orwellian, I think, that people have to have the same view about trans, or the people were told not to believe their own eyes, their eyes and ears. That's another Orwellian thing, which might relate to gender, for example. Yeah. Okay.
But I respect your right to believe that I'm hateful. As much as it might be upsetting to hear, that's fine. Like, you can think that I'm hateful, and lots of people do, and that's absolutely fine. I'm not going to change your mind on that. The difference is that I'm respecting your opinion, your right to hold it even if I don't agree with you, and that's all I'm asking for.
It's easier to respect my opinion. My opinion doesn't make people want to kill themselves. My issue with you, which is why I made such an effort to even be here to tell you to your face, is that you are damaging and hurting people so horribly.
But Khadija, we're going around in circles just because you...
Yeah, we're going around in circles because narcissists don't have enough empathy to ever listen to people like me. That's why we will continue to go round in circles, because you will never...
She's hardly spoken.
Fine, speak more then. Speak more then. If you want to speak more, speak more. If you want her to speak more, tell her to speak more. I don't understand why you're trying to use that as a point of... Just tell her to speak more then.
Would you like to speak more?
To get a better understanding of campus censorship, I met with controversial Professor Philip Kiselli, who is under investigation at Leeds and isn't allowed to say exactly why. He's vocal online about his concerns over mass immigration, gender and cancel culture.
Are you able to talk about your job at University of Leeds?
I'm a lecturer in performance and cultural histories. I've taught in higher education for over 25 years. So I know what's going on, and I know the changes that have occurred. I've been on the receiving end of pylons and a cancellation as well, right? So at the moment, what happens is you say something, the mob disagree with you, you are a heretic, so they try and take your livelihood away, they try and shame you publicly. I think what's going to happen now is they're going to lock you up. These people aren't interested in just shouting you down or calling you names. In fact, you don't know what these people might be capable of.
I understand there's some sort of process or investigation to do with controversial things. Is that right?
I'm on the wrong side. But the irony is, of course, I think and speak for probably a huge portion of the population who feel exactly the same. In the past, universities used to be a kind of vanguard of ideas. There's always a bit of craziness, but generally speaking, they were a testing ground, a marketplace, if you like. I think they're the opposite now. I think they're indoctrination centers. It went on steroids with BLM. Lockdown poured fuel on the flames, and now it's Hamas, for God's sake. I think I should be able to say trans women are men. Change my mind. Seeing what's been happening across campuses over the last 6 months or so, since October the 7th, has just been a vision of insanity. We have people masked, chanting in support of terrorist organisations and openly condemning and threatening Jews.
I was amazed to find that not only the students, but the professors were stifled. That's when Dr. Kiselli told me something that shocked me to the core.
I found out that there was a hate campaign against me, an Islamist hate campaign of posters against me on campus. I will admit to being scared.
I was still hoping to get on Leeds Student Radio to hear their side. By chance, I was there on the day they broadcast their weekly politics hour. While waiting to hear from them, I got a call from my good friend, former Professor Peter Boghossian.
I think you're kidding yourself if you think that they're going to have you on their radio station or anything I mean, I would be flabbergasted if that happens.
As it turned out, depressingly, Peter was right. The radio station said no. I thought it was really sad the Leeds Student Radio wouldn't have me, a former Leeds student, on to discuss their ideas. One member did agree to meet me, but when the radio station found out, they swiftly gagged him. At the last minute, we found Joe, who has been on the student radio and is a member. He was brave enough to speak.
I was just thinking, like, no matter what I say, I will offend someone.
Are you nervous to talk about it then?
Yeah, pretty much.
I was hoping to get on the Leeds Student Radio. Why do you think that they refused?
I think they don't really want to give Connie more content, basically. She got heckled earlier today, people calling her a fascist. Like, she is quite an empathetic person.
Do you want to hit?
Yeah,
go on, hit. And while you're hitting at your point where you're most distracted, I'll ask you a difficult, complicated question.
Okay.
Do you think some people would have a problem with you being friends with her?
Yes, yeah, because I think some people think she is genuinely a hurtful person. Once you use the word transphobe, then all kind of humanity is gone. Yeah. And that they are the worst person in the world.
Were they right to remove her from the radio?
She does have freedom of speech, but she doesn't have the freedom of consequence. Leeds Student Radio is a democratically run society with a lot of trans people in.
And gender critical people.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. What the union have set out and done is not great for freedom of speech within the union, because they haven't specified what she said that was wrong, and she is kind of still in that grey area. And it is like the girl said it this morning, she said, well, isn't it obvious what she did? And I think the union does really need to specify what is stepping over that line.
You said to me before that you're proudly woke.
Being awoken to the issues of ethnic minorities when it came to civil rights and Iraq and even trans liberation and now Palestine, it's always been the students. Young people are very active, they're very aware of the world around them.
Or some would say malleable.
Yeah.
I mean, Stalin used the students, Mao used the students. Those are far left groups that used the students, made them believe in something they thought was good and led to millions of deaths. I mean, if woke was what you're saying it is, I mean, couldn't Connie be woke? Because she's aware of minorities and she's looked into this a lot, and I think, as you've said, she's a very empathetic person. She's very considerate. So
it's all your own interpretation.
You seem so well-rounded and eloquent that I don't think you are woke, and I think within a few years you will be distancing yourself from the world.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, you will.
I really like Joe. I like him so much that I let him hit that final shot 3 times just to make it look like he beat me. I just hope that me liking him doesn't make those around him not like him. It's a kiss of death. It was now time for the big finale, a meeting at the home of the university's most infamous student, Connie Shaw.
Connie, what's going on?
Well, everyone at uni seems to be a bit upset because I've been saying things that they don't like. And, well, before that I was suspended, and, well, now I have been permanently suspended from my committee role at Leeds Student Radio for what I believe and what the Free Speech Union believes. And then today, people have had the opportunity to come and say the things they want to say to my face.
Because narcissists don't have enough empathy to ever listen to people like me.
So what is it that you are actually suspended for?
I was found guilty of bringing LSR into disrepute, but they haven't specified what I've done that's done that. If I want to run again for committee, I'd have to write an apology to the wider membership and take mandatory training.
And do you want to do that?
No.
No. That sounds a little bit Maoist.
Even if I wanted to apologise, how could I possibly apologise when they haven't told me what I've done wrong?
Is there a huge problem with free speech on Leeds University campus?
Only with certain issues. I mean, the things that the pro-Palestinian protesters have managed to get away with are quite remarkable.
Is it equal on both sides with Israel and Palestine in terms of free speech?
I mean, this is going to get me in trouble saying anything here, but the students who talk about Israel and Palestine, the vast majority of them are going to be pro-Palestine. There was a Jewish show on LSR and that came under loads of fire after October 7th. I have a friend who has Israeli connections, and peers were really sort of hostile towards her, from what I understand. One of the many messages I've had from students as a result of what's happened to me, one girl messaged me saying that she was in the Philosophy Society, but as soon as she expressed that she was gender critical, she was just called a bigot. So she doesn't go anymore.
So it's not necessarily then a free speech issue, it's actually a free speech issue around gender and Israel.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
I think there needs to be a serious restructuring of the way that students are taught. Things like trigger warnings and just the fact we're not exposed to other sides of the arguments. I mean, there are things that I would love to talk about in my course, but I can't because I don't want to get in trouble. But I'm conscious of the fact that we're not always told both sides of very hotly debated topics.
What do you think about the woman who screamed at you this morning?
I mean, it didn't surprise me. I was expecting that to happen. I'm surprised only one turned up. I mean, the rest of them are cowards. I think, hats off to her. She actually came and said it to my face, which I really respect, actually. She is just clearly very passionate, I would say misguided, but that's the issue with these things, because how we would refer to gender ideology as gender ideology, but then trans activists would say that gender critical is also an ideology. But for me, it's like, but it's evidence-based, so how can...
That's what she said. She said that this morning.
Yeah, oh, really? Yeah, but gender ideology is evidence-based.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think she's wrong.
I thought you were making a just...
I realised you thought I was making a joke.
Yeah,
that's
like,
what she said. Gender ideology. No, she did say that this morning. That something happened in 1995. I mean, it didn't seem quite right.
No.
Screaming at you that you were a narcissist and that you showed no empathy, and I think, I don't know, but I wonder if viewers will be watching that and thinking those things at this moment in time apply to that woman who as she gets older might appreciate other sides more.
Yeah, I do feel bad because I feel like perhaps she'd look back at that and think that there was a better way to conduct it. But I think perhaps as she was realising that she was finding it hard to articulate her point, that the only thing she could resort to was shouting at me.
Screaming.
Which, it happens to the best of us, I guess.
Yeah.